Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Monday, October 15th, 2018 City Council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Condon.
Here.
Alderman Devine.
Here.
Alderman Mahevick.
Here.
Alderman Curry.
Here.
Alderman Schaper.
Here.
Alderman Glad.
Here.
Alderman Santee.
Here.
Mayor Chad.
Here. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item on the agenda is a public hearing. I'd like to call this public hearing to order at 7 o'clock p.m. regarding a proposed amendment to the annexation agreement with the chapel for the property located 1809 South Illinois Route 31. At this time, I'd like to ask anyone that would like to make a public comment at this time during this public hearing, could please step up to the podium and state your name and address for public record.
Good evening. My name is Julie Deal Clausen. I'm the Executive Director of McHenry County Housing Authority, and I would like to voice our agency's support of the chapel's proposed annexation or ordinance, whatever it is. We're in favor. So anyway, I also want to tell you that the McHenry County Housing Authority has been assisting homeless people for over 20 years, and we look forward to partnering with Pioneer Center on this endeavor. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to make a public comment during this public hearing portion? See none. Last chance. At this time, looking for a motion to close the public hearing portion of this agenda item. Alderman Santee?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Mahevick?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Mahevick.
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Schaper.
Yes.
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. The item following this is item 4A, is discussion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the mayor's execution of the proposed amendment to the annexation agreement with the chapel property located at 1809 South Illinois Route 31. I'd like to open it up for City Council for discussion. Anyone? Alderman Condon?
I'll just briefly just make a statement as it's in my ward. It was interesting because they were in my ward with the original property, and then when they got the new property, they're still in Ward 7, which I was happy to see. But because I just think they're a great institution. In the past, they have invited both myself and previous mayor to attend, and have been very open to everything that they've been doing and their intent. And I think that they will be a great. It will be a great addition, even though they're here now, to have that building and have that operational and everything that can go along with that. I think will be a great service to the community.
Thank you. Any other? Alderman Santee?
Just a quick question on amendment number 1. They're asking for an extra 7 years for the build out. Is that expansion all internally, or is there actually an exterior portions?
It's internally.
All internally?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Alderman Glenn?
Yeah. This site is currently at Woodstock, correct?
Correct.
Right. And from what I've gathered, that the residents are all up in arms and everything else constantly about this. It's been nothing but a nightmare for Woodstock. Why would it be better at McHenry?
I can't speak for, I can't address that. I'm not in Woodstock. I could speak to why I think it's a good location here. I think it's a good location here. It's off a major state route. It's near 4 or 3 major business parks. It's near major healthcare facilities. It's a quarter mile away from Pioneer Center. It's near public transportation in terms of pace. Pioneer Center has public transportation. The chapel is a good partner. Those are all reasons why. It's also near the city of McHenry and the city of Crystal Lake. That's why I think it's a good location at this site, but I really can't speak to your question about Woodstock.
I've heard from several people as far as the headaches and problems that they had in Woodstock, and the city wanted it out of there. And if it's gonna be a problem there, why would it not be a problem here in McHenry? That's my question. How did things change from one location to another? It's the same operation. And if it has problems for residents over there, why would those same problems be here? Why would we take on the headaches that Woodstock has?
Can I ask
Yeah.
somebody from the...
Sam, would you mind stepping up to the podium? State your name for public record, please.
Sam Tenuto, co-CEO of Pioneer Center. Appreciate the question, the opportunity. I'm losing my voice here, guys. So we're clear. Pioneer operates the Kishwaukee Homeless Shelter and Day Center. It's one building, actually two buildings, one parcel of property off of Kishwaukee Road in Woodstock. So our operations out there, honestly, there has been minimal complaints from the community or stakeholders related to us serving. So our Kishwaukee shelter is transferring over to the chapel with the ordinance and agreement. So honestly, we've served well. Nothing's perfect. If there's an issue, we always address it. But it's been pretty quiet in terms of community and neighborhood dialogue. There is a location that opened, the old Firehouse Assistance Center on the square. I have vocally and verbally stated that through the Housing Authority operating the OFAC there right on the square, they've done good work. But the reality is, by serving there has been some connection points with the business district, and at times we've had some honest concerns. And there's been times where I would say there's just been unfair commentary about the people that are served at that site. So this model is very different. We're not serving in the downtown location of the square. Also, those negative comments, and at times I think really unfairly related to the OFAC only serves Monday through Friday about 7 hours a day. We serve 24 hours. So our staff there at the chapel is 24 hours, able to handle issues 7 days a week. So from behind Pioneer's position, minimal community negativity or comments. I respect the comment. Our balance point always is to serve and also listen when our stakeholders, it could be a business owner, it could be a neighbor, we're there. So if there's a concern or a complaint, we're always there. I think a lot of it's education. If there is a real concern related to people we serve, we respect that our police have a role and we partner with them too. So at the end of the day, we serve, we want to do it safely, and we want to follow all zoning and civil laws in the area. I hope that kind of answers your question. I'm glad to.
Well, what is the difference between the site in Kishwaukee versus here?
So the Kishwaukee site, they're very similar because, as Doug referenced, they're not serving in the downtown, downtown square area. So Kishwaukee, our site, the Kishwaukee site is really off of Kishwaukee Road. It's it's not in a downtown business district. I'm assuming some of the concern you heard, because I've been with those town halls and those neighborhood groups. It is mainly, and I know some of the business, actually I sit on the business owner group out there. The local business owners have been the strongest voice of concern that I'm aware of, because the service has been right next to their store fronts. The location on 31, as Doug mentioned, is really perfect. Right next to Waste Management, the strength of Pioneer Corporate's right across the street. So there's a difference, but there's a lot of similarities. The biggest similarity is Kishwaukee transfers all services over, similar property, similar not in my, right next to, it's not backing up to people's homes and that. So I would picture lesser of this little bit of public concern that we're hearing.
Well, the major transportation goes straight to Woodstock as far as the train service. They come out of Palatine, they come out of Chicago, they come right up to the train stations into Woodstock. How is that not more convenient than the city of McHenry being that far down 31?
So I guess maybe two separate issues. The issue of convenience, Pioneer operates a shuttle transportation system for the homeless population that we serve. That will transfer over. So if there's any impact on the community because there's a lack of transportation support that's putting stress on the community, maybe the businesses, Pioneer's transferring that over. We have the pace route connection already with the city. So, trying to answer your question directly, I don't know if the transportation piece will create an inconvenience. Is your question about people coming from other counties to the shelter?
Well, they do.
They do.
They don't, they're not just for the area.
So our starting point for shelter is to support our community, which is McHenry. And I'll be very honest with you. During the course of the year, there will be, I don't have the numbers, 3 to 5 people. We will meet 3 to 5 people that may have lived outside of this county. It could be a teenager, one of our homeless youth we work with, that is camping out in some wooded lot area right behind a commercial store. And they've been there for 7 weeks, 2 months. At that point, there really is no return back to the other county they came from. We view them as being, a person in our county, in our neighborhood that needs support, and we will do our best to support them. It's a very small amount of people. The main majority of people we serve is from our county, from all towns. Marengo, Crystal Lake, Woodstock, Harvard. Our Runaway Homeless Youth Program, we meet kids that are at the train station. We have schools calling us, all from our local area.
And what is the maximum amount of people that you'll have open?
So our capacity is going to be 60 to 70 people. I'll give you a maximum capacity of 70. I say our average capacity during the coldest months of the year will be between 60 and 70 people at the shelter.
Again, I have heard nothing good from people from Woodstock that are just elated that it's coming to McHenry. And I just tend to wonder, what is the benefit to McHenry?
Well, that's a question. I will state that there has been approximately, and Julie knows, I would say there's been approximately 7 people that are chronically homeless that have really been a concern on the square, a very, very small percent of the people. Those 7 people have, even with our outreach, have really chosen not to utilize our services. I think the optics have been pretty poor over the past 2 years. I would say for the past decade plus. It's always been 7 people, and they've been respected, and we've always respected the role of the providers in the place to work with them, to keep the community safe and get them supports. Over the past 2 years, I think the optics have been pretty poor. So there's been multiple town halls and some newspaper articles. End of the day, it's always been 7 people. I live in Huntley, right down Route 47. So my neighbors now think like, oh my goodness, there's hundreds of people creating an issue on the square. It really isn't. It's still about 5 to 7 people that refuse to get help. Some are veterans that have been lost in the system forever. Some may be a runaway homeless youth. Some can be a person that suffered a traumatic abuse during their life. And we try, Julie knows we try, but they just don't want our services. That's the dialogue I'm mainly aware of coming through Woodstock about concern about the services. Honestly, am I in a position to understand all of that dialogue? No, but I'm pretty networked in the community, and that's mainly what I hear. I respect your question, I really do.
It still didn't answer my question as far as what's the benefit to the city of McHenry?
Well, the benefit, I would hope, the benefit is, we're supporting people in our community. So when I present in detail about our serving people that are homeless, beyond the passion and caring for a fellow citizen, person in need, I could just talk about the ROI. So it does make our community stronger. So as we help people coming to our homeless shelter, they in turn will use our resources. They will shop in our districts, they will look for jobs. Anyone that is productive, in my mind, is a vital piece of the economy and the wellness of the community. We help them get back on their feet to contribute. I have worked with many people, same with Julie, same with other partners, that we've helped people. It was simply they got back to their life. They got back to their home, got back to having their kids go through school. They ended up being volunteers at their church or local social groups. So that's what I think it's in for McHenry, is helping people be successful out of passion and care, human nature, but also it does make our community stronger. It also takes infrastructure impact off our community resources. So if you talk to the fire department, the police department, the local ERs, they will reference how we as a point of entry for people that are homeless, we take a lot of burden off of them. I mean, those entities, those government pieces turn to us for populations lost. And we help, and a lot of times we divert from the ER, divert from unnecessary police phone calls. Not perfect, they still will work with the population, but we provide that kind of hidden ROI by serving the population. So that's my view. I know maybe your board has views on serving the population, but that's how I see the benefit to the community.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Alderman Condon.
So, I guess I feel very passionate about this being a licensed clinical counselor, and I think maybe I can address some of that as well. First of all, I think there might be a misnomer about the two locations that you're referring to, Alderman Glab. I don't know for sure because I don't know what you've heard, but I think the location downtown, as was mentioned, I think has, there's been questions from the local businesses. That isn't what we're talking about. It's a totally different operation. That said, you also mentioned transportation. I will tell you that the church that I belong to does have, is a PADS location, and we have been for several years and have never, ever, there's never been one complaint with the parishioners that staff that. There's never been a problem. The transportation, they're transported to that church. They're not walking there. They're being transported, as was said too. And finally, I guess, I think it's a humanity issue, as well as the fact that we all need to wake up and open our eyes. There are homeless people in every community, and we have a lot of them here. And it is, I don't care if they're a voter and I don't care if they're paying taxes. It is, I won't speak for anyone else, it is my obligation to address their needs, not only as a mental health counselor, but as a member of this council, making sure that there is a place for them to go. Especially, this is 24/7, 12 months out of the year. Especially in the winter time, though, it's critical. And we need, if we're not showing compassion to one another, then shame on all of us.
Thank you. Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, it still doesn't answer my question why it needs to be moved from Woodstock to here. Because needless to say, it does impact our services. And it will relieve the services of Woodstock. I mean, I know there's grant money that they're looking to come forward with in the next couple of years. I've heard that and everything else. But that isn't, anything towards us. That's to that location and to those services. I just kind of wonder why it's coming to McHenry and leaving Woodstock, and what the benefit is.
I guess my question would be, why not? Good for us that we have this
They're there,
opportunity.
that's why.
But
I think one of the reasons was they were looking at expansion.
Yes, thank you.
And they wanted one facility. So it was expand in Woodstock, or conversely, they could find a facility, and McHenry was that proposed facility, and move to McHenry and have one facility, or expand in Woodstock. And it became a monetary decision, and this was a good location, so this was a location chosen.
It's amazing, Mr. Martin, that you didn't have any answers for me a few minutes ago, and now you do. I mean, when I asked certain questions, you had no answers. Now all of a sudden we've got the answers of why this and that. I just, in my mind, I know that there's an impact to our community here in McHenry, and right now it is an impact to Woodstock. And is it just our time to share the impact? That's the way I'm wondering. Why does it have to come out of Woodstock and it has to come to McHenry?
Point of order, Mayor.
That's all. I'm sorry. You know what? Don't interrupt me, please.
As point of
I
order,
have the
I
floor
may
right
interrupt
now.
the speaker. Is that
I'm
not
sorry.
allowed?
I have the floor.
When there's a personal attack,
Yes.
according to our attorney's information, when someone is being attacked, you can call a point of order, and I may interrupt the speaker. And I believe that Director Martin was personally attacked. Shame on you. Can I give a clarification? Is that not correct?
terms of calling a point of order.
Yes.
Call a point of order like that.
Thank you.
I didn't hear a point of order. I just heard rambling.
I said point of order, maybe you
She said
should
it.
listen.
Any other discussion? Alderman Curry?
Yeah, I just have a question, how it works, because I've been involved with a little bit with one of the churches that
Yes.
serves Pat, as Alderman Conlon mentioned. So does those, I guess the question for Sam, but do those needs, those church ones, does that go away with this, or is that still going, the churches will still be involved in that, or?
We're hoping our churches are partner. We meet with the churches on a monthly basis during the season. They just started on planning. All of our church site partners at the previous meeting a couple of weeks ago, we told them that this project is moving along. Target date of October of next year, that for the next church is going to start, October of 2019.
Right.
And the church members all said that they're passionate of the mission. They can't speak yet to what degree they would support the project. They're all ears, we'll let them know. There will be definitely an opportunity presented to them to support. And it could be something as basic, do you want to come out and one evening a week and help us make dinner and get the breakfast and sack lunches ready, stuff like that. So
Okay.
I would say,
But
I would say.
it would no longer be overnight at those churches, is
No,
that
no.
correct?
Correct, and the church sites, and the issue of the church.
That was really my question.
Figure out
is,
that.
yeah.
They've been
Because
involved.
we've been, and I don't think they're doing it this year, but we've been involved a little bit with Christ the King up in
Yeah, they've done
Thunder Lake, yeah.
Good work, thank you for asking.
Thanks.
Any other discussion by council? At this time, I'll open up for public input. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a public comment at this time?
Yes.
Sir, please step up to the podium, state your name for public record, please.
Evening, my name is Richard Draper. I live in Wonder Lake. I've been on the Pioneer Senate Board for 26 years. I have probably attended 12 meetings over the years where people have come together and talked about the homeless problem in the county. They all recognize it. We had townships, we had police departments, fire departments, city officials, everybody there. And it's a problem, but Pioneer's doing it right now, so let's not worry about it. It's not in my backyard. We have an opportunity here to provide year-round, 24/7 shelter for homeless people. For a church that's opening up their site to us, giving us the square footage. Kishwaukee, if we were to expand that, it's over $2 million to expand that, and that's out in the country. Now, what benefit is it to McHenry as opposed to Woodstock? There's still gonna be homeless people hanging around Woodstock during the day. There's homeless people hanging around McHenry during the day. I see them. What's your benefit? You're stepping forward and serving people. That's all it is. It's not gonna cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. And church sites, Christ the King Church is where Pioneer Center started 60 years ago. They're dropping out of the program because the people of the church are getting older. They've been doing it for years and years and years, and they're older and they're getting tired, and young people aren't stepping up. And it's getting more and more difficult each year to find another church site to take over for that. This is an opportunity that solves so many problems, nominal cost, and I can't understand why you, especially, I got my glasses on, why you're looking for some benefit for McHenry. I think that is absolutely obnoxious, sir.
Mayor Jim, may I answer that? All I want to say is I want to thank you because I asked for why it was coming to McHenry in the first place, and you've given me more in your 90 seconds of presentation of why it was coming to McHenry more so than anybody else. And I thank you for that.
You're welcome, sir. And I'm sorry if I got
No, that's
carried
fine.
away a little bit.
I'm just saying, I've asked and I've asked, and everybody's giving me this, and everybody's giving me that. You, sir, in a nutshell, gave me much more information than anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Any other?
And you probably changed my mind.
Any other discussion by the public? At this time, looking to council to make a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the mayor's execution of the proposed amendment to the annexation agreement at the chapel, the property located at 1809 South Illinois Route 31. Alderwoman Condon?
I will make that motion as just read.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Devine?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion on this item. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik.
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Schaper.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Mayor Jet.
Yes. Thank you, council. The next item on the agenda is the public hearing. At this time, I'd like to call the public hearing to order at 7:25 PM regarding a proposed amendment to the annexation agreement with Gerstad Builders for Liberty Trails subdivision. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a public comment at this time? See none. At this time, look for a motion to close the public hearing portion. Alderman Santee?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Devine? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik.
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Schaper.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The item 5A is a discussion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the mayor's execution of the proposed amendment to the annexation agreement with Gerstad Builders for the Liberty Trail subdivision dated July 5th, 2000, relative to the reduction of the impact fees through September 24th, 2019. Is there any discussion by council on this item? Alderman Glab?
I just want to say that I'm not happy about what we voted on as far as reducing the impact fees. However, if we do for one, I can see doing for the other, and so therefore I could attest to doing a amendment on this annexation agreement.
Thank you. Alderman Schaper?
After looking at this is exactly like what we did for DR Orton. There's no other significant changes. The one thing I do wanna note, this is also for 1 year, and is that 1 year of permits pulled, not, like, building, correct?
Ross?
Correct, it'll be one, any permits that are stamped into our department within that time period, will get a reduction in fees.
And again, can they pull all 48 if they wanted to?
Well, they could, yes. They have they also have the option to pay up front the impact fees, just like the previous agreement.
And is there a amount of time between when the permit's pulled and when you have to start?
The permit is typically good for 1 year.
Okay.
So, I mean, technically, you could probably pull all of the permits, 48 of them, but you would be required to pay all those fees up front.
All right, thanks, that's all I have.
Any other discussion? Alderman Glab?
Yeah, but all right, if the permit's good for 1 year, could they just renew them every after?
No, there's stipulations in our ordinance that don't allow that.
So if they went out, let's say, and they got 48 permits, they would have to start 48.
Correct.
Okay.
There's a certain time frame you have to start a project.
Right, okay, that's fine, thank you.
Any other discussion by council? Alderman Curry?
Just a question. So when you pull a permit though, you pay a fee, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So whether they ever start them.
Right.
Got it. All right, thanks.
Well, but they have to start within a certain time frame. Don't quote me on this, but it might be 90 days. If you don't, your permit is void.
But you paid the fee,
But you paid the fee.
so, okay.
Right.
So don't pull the permit unless you're
Correct.
gonna do it. All right.
Any other discussion by council? At this time, I turn to the public for any public comment regarding this item. See none, I'm looking for a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the mayor's execution of the proposed amendment to the annexation agreement with Gerstad Builders for the Liberty Trail subdivision dated July 5th, 2000, relative to the reduction of impact fees through September 24th, 2019. Alderman Santee?
I will make that motion as presented.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Mahavik?
Second.
Discussion on this item. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Alderman Schaper.
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Mayor
Mayor Jeff.
Yes. At this time, the next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there any residents wanting to address the council in regards to making a public comment? If so, this is the time to do so. See none? Moving on to the consent agenda items, is there any items that the council would like to pull for separate consideration? See none. At this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve consent agenda items 7A through 7I. Alderman Schaefer?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Alderman Santi?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion on these items.
Nothing.
Alderman Santi?
No, just in regards to the, I sent out a message, and just for public record, I was concerned about the rebid process. Thank you, Bill and Derek, for the information. When do we normally send out the bid for this?
September.
Okay. If, I guess just a suggestion, I mean, if we go 60 days or earlier, do you think maybe we'll get more traction out of it? No?
We tried.
I mean, could we?
I'm certainly open to trying it.
All right.
It's remember, if you remember the first year we did it, was a local vendor. All Seasons, I think, was the name of the vendor, but a McHenry company. And we actually did not go with the low bid. We went with the local company at that point to go with that firm. And then he no longer does that. And we have kind of landed where we have been.
Yeah.
And just haven't drawn the interest. I don't know why that is. I know, with the exception of this year, the firm that came out there looked at the project and asked all the questions and picked up a bid packet. It was just a smaller project that they didn't want to bother with. I think they do more of the grand street scenes like in Chicago and that type of thing.
And have we ever had more than 3 return bids? Any year?
Not.
Can you?
We have never had more
Never,
than 3
right?
returns on this one.
I don't know.
One year we had 3.
Mind boggling, I just don't get it. But anyway, I just want to confirm that, thank you.
Any other discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Schaefer.
Yes.
Alderman Santi.
Yes?
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik.
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
Thank you, council. First action item on the agenda is discussion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the conditional use permit for the assembly use, including a 7-night per week use as pads, public actions to deliver shelter, site at 1809 South Illinois Route 31 with conditions. Doug, can you please present this item?
Thank you, Mayor. The chapel, as we had discussed, is proposing a part of a Pioneer Center to relocate the pad facility from Woodstock to McHenry. In order to do this, it must expand and obtain a new conditional use permit for an assembly use to allow a 7-night per week shelter. Previous assembly use, conditional use permit allowed a 1-night per week at their facility at 1809 South Route 31. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Doug. Any discussion on this item by council? Alderman Santi?
Yeah, this is just, okay, we're discussing item 8A, correct?
Yes.
This is just a incredible commitment, incredible. You know, because as I was just thinking about this earlier in the evening, over my years being around here, we've just seen rotations of just so many different church facilities that have been involved with this on a rotation basis. And I just hope and pray that everything works out great, because it is, in my book, I just believe it's an incredible commitment. And I wish you good luck out there.
Any other discussion by council? This time I'll open up to public comment. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a public comment at this time? I see none. I'm looking for a motion for item 8A as presented. Alderman Santi?
I will make that motion.
Second. Alderman Condon? Discussion on this item. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santi.
Yes?
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer.
Yes.
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The next action item on the agenda is 8B, discussion to adopt an ordinance approving a zoning map amendment, conditional use permit, and preliminary subdivision plat to allow a long-term skilled nursing care facility on the property located at the northeast corner of Ridgeview Drive and Bull Valley Road. Doug, can you please present this item as well?
Thank you, Mayor. The applicants are proposing to construct a long-term skilled nursing facility to serve the needs of both short and long-term post-acute care patients. The proposed facility is 1 story. It will be able to accommodate 84 people, 60 singles, 12 doubles. The facility will be constructed as an upscale resort rehabilitation center with a therapy gym, private rooms, bathrooms and showers, and an outdoor courtyard at the northeast corner of Ridgeview Drive and Bull Valley Road. In order to facilitate the planning, engineering, and construction of the facility, the applicant is seeking the following: a zoning map amendment from I-1 industrial to O1 local office, conditional use permit for institutional use, and preliminary subdivision plat approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Doug. Any discussion on this item? Alderman Condon?
I just had, I think it's well needed in McHenry. We don't have anything similar to this, but I was surprised about the 12 doubles. Is the applicant here?
Yeah.
Yeah, the applicant, could you that?
Please state your name for public record.
Nicole Jablonski with Ignite Medical Resorts. We have chosen to add the 12 combined rooms for that long-term population. There's many patients who choose to actually stay in a room with somebody. The majority of our patients who come short-term would go into those private rooms, and then if they chose to stay long-term, they would have the option to do one or the other. We could operate them as privates if needed, but if somebody chose to go into that room, they would just stay in the double room.
So it's not for like a husband and wife, and that's what I was.
It sure could be.
Okay.
And this
But
is
that's
a skilled
probably
setting.
rare.
It could be for like a companion suite, yes, but most often it's for an individual patient. They would just be set up as semi-private rooms.
Okay, I assume cheaper.
That's
split
exactly
the
right.
cost.
Sometimes people choose to stay, if they're paying privately, they would prefer to stay in a semi-private room versus a private room.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, there was, in here about detention, and was the Pacini property supposed to have a regional detention area, and would that service this property, or?
Yes and no. They are supposed to have a regional facility, that was discussed, that was brought up at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, which was brought up during public comment when that whole area was planned. And we did contact, and that was brought up to Mr. Pacini. And but for this particular development, the detention is on this property.
So it will be for this and Colonial?
No, actually, Colonial has their own detention, but actually the Maracheks did bring it up because their concern was expanding to the north and moving their detention to a regional detention. And they want that to happen because that's their only expansion area. So I'll be contacting Mr. Pacini about when that will take place and hopefully facilitating an agreement to some effect about doing that regional detention in that area, because that property is pretty expansive, but it should be done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, both of these properties are fairly distant from the original regional, wasn't it? Was it the original regional more towards the northern part of the property? And again, you know, the last time we probably looked at this was probably, what, 15 years ago, you know, so that's, I guess, why I'm asking those questions.
When they did some wetland mitigation more towards 31, there was a proposed development north of here which had some detention which was off-site towards the tracks. Because this development was further south and the detention, I believe, is to the southeast, this detention was planned on this site for the southeast. And because we didn't want to sort of mess this development up, we kept the detention on this site. But to be honest, I'm not sure where the regional detention for the whole Pacini property was originally planned for. I only know where the wetland mitigation was.
I'm trying to remember if could've sworn, didn't we have something in, whether it was the annexation agreement or some agreement with Pacini, maybe it was when Bus 4 came in, that, of exactly where that was gonna be, and
There are plans and, there are documents that we have that will probably lend some degree of knowledge to where it probably should be, so I'm gonna have to look.
and I was gonna say, I think there would probably be something in there as far as the requirements of what the Pacinis had to do too. And it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to look at it now, considering the projects are looking at regional detention and this coming in, you know, how it all fits in, because hopefully this will spur more development in that corridor that's been there for the last, 25 years? 26
Right,
years.
we don't want the whole property, I mean, it's okay to develop, but then more and more development, we don't want it to pass by without having that regional detention set up.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? At this time,
Oh, I do have one.
sure.
The double yellow lines, that is dedicated right away?
They're dedicating.
I'm sorry, for, you know, the extension of Ridgeview, or that goes up to Dartmoor? The roadway. Is that,
Yes. Yes.
is it, and we're absolutely sure it's dedicated, because, again, we dealt with the Pacinis back on the south end, and then found out a year later that the annexation agreement had never been signed. So, could we just double check on that, just to make sure that all our ducks in a row, so we have no surprises down the road as we're developing? I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion by council? This time I ask the public if there's any public comment by anyone in the audience. See none, I'm looking for a motion for item 8B as presented. Alderman Condon?
I will make the motion to adopt an ordinance approving a zoning map amendment, conditional use permit, and preliminary subdivision plat to allow a long-term skilled nursing care facility on the property located at the northeast corner of Ridgeview Drive and Bull Valley Road.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Schaefer.
Second.
Discussion by council. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Santi?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Thank you, council. The next item on the agenda is a discussion to grant a liquor license request for Hub Market LLC, DBA Hub Market, Butcher Shop, 1210 North Green Street, McHenry, Illinois, in an ordinance amending Chapter 4, Section 4-6 of the McHenry Municipal Code, increasing the number of Class A1 liquor licenses in effect from 2 to 3.
Yep.
You want to go ahead and present this
I
item?
will do that,
Derek?
thank you. And just before I forget, council has in front of them tonight, a copy of the floor plan, for this, proposed new business, in case you have any questions on that. Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of the agenda item is for consideration of granting a Class A1 liquor license to a new business, Hub Market Butcher Shop, and just to delineate the difference between a regular A1 and an A license and an A1 license. An A license is a bar with full service liquor, so it's liquor, beer, and wine. And an A1 is a bar with just beer and wine service, so that's the difference. There's however many, we have 28 A licenses, and there's just a couple of the A1 licenses. The Hub Market Butcher Shop is located at 1210 North Green Street, just north of the theater. And if granted, the adoption of an ordinance increasing the number of A1 licenses in effect from 2 to 3. The business is owned by Hub Market LLC, comprised of 11 investors, and Hub Market LLC is the petitioner for this request. And the actual motion for this, when it's time to make it, would also indicate, as we identified, they're all coming in the process of coming in for fingerprinting and background checks. So I would ask that the motion, if it gets to that point, to be approved, would be conditioned on the successful completion of fingerprinting and background checks for the LLC members, and that's actually written on the motion in the supplement. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open it up for discussion by council first. Any discussion by council? Alderman Curry?
Yeah, I'm looking at the application for the liquor license. It appears to be incomplete, so, I mean, I know we gotta an email today that talked about who the LLC members are, that it does not show on this application. It does say this is a corporation, and if it is a corporation, you need to, all the owners holding 5% or more need to be listed, and they're not listed on the application. As they are on this later application, we're gonna see a little bit later, and as they are on other applications.
Yeah, so when we got the information, we had the list, and the list went to police to have the background, the fingerprinting and background contacts made. The request, Alderman Santee made a request actually yesterday, but we fulfilled it today of sending that list of individuals out by email to council. So it was an attachment to an email that I think I sent it out around 12:30 or 1 o'clock today, and that list of individuals is provided in that email.
Yes, and it was, and I thank you for that. However, you know, I think that the application itself needs to show, it is the, we all have a private email essentially, which could be FOIA, I suppose.
Yes.
But for the public, the application should show who the owners are, who the applicants actually are. So.
Alderman Santee?
No, I had that same question, and I'm glad I asked Derek in regards to, I wanted to make sure that we had the list of names here, which we do, and I just want to make sure that this is attached to this motion so that they appear on the public record in regards to the list, because, yeah, I was wondering where the names were, and I knew that somehow, some way, and I don't know how you attach it to the application, but when I look at item, which was the late item, this 8E, there's only 2 owners, so it's a little bit less of a you know, a chore, I guess, to put together that one, but it does show, you know, all ownerships regards to husband and wife with that attachment. And I guess, is it a legal question? Can we attach this to the application? And
Yeah.
that will state as showing that these are the owners and this is what we're passing tonight?
Absolutely.
We could do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Any other discussion by council? Alderman Glenn?
None of the selected officials are allowed to have a liquor license, correct?
Correct.
That would mean our spouses as well.
No, it does not mean that. So there's a statute called the Married Persons Act, which basically states that even though you're a married individual does not mean that you give up your rights to what your otherwise individual rights would be. And there's case law specifically addressing liquor licenses. And we've done this in the past.
But I think the way our ordinances read, there should be no financial connection whatsoever in the entity, correct?
Well, it's also a corporation. So there might be a.
Which have owners.
Correct.
Correct.
Any other discussion by council? See none? At this time, I'd like to invite John and Nick Domenico to come and kind of explain what's the whole project and kind of, you know, tell the whole story on why they're here, and I think it's good for the council to kind of know and the public to know. So, Nick, John?
Yeah. My name is Nick DeMonico. I'm the current owner of Orchard Meats and a Spanish restaurant called Tapas Calpe in Cary, Illinois. And the concept that I have there is what my son will do in McHenry here, which is kind of almost like an approach of 3 different entities in a small operation. And that's it's been a successful thing for us, and I think it'll be a really good benefit to the town too, because a lot of what we do is not here. And we've got the building, we're really fixing that up, and it's gonna come out really nice.
Yeah. And it says that we're a butcher, well, my name's John DeMonico, I don't know if I can say that again or not, but, it's, more than just a butcher shop. Besides being full service, we also have the wine shop, the beer, like we've been stated. Also have the full service deli, where it's gonna be, not tableside service, but where we allow, people to come to the, counter, order their sandwich, soup, salads, everything deli made in-house, nothing made, no powder mixes, none of the stuff elsewhere. And it's gonna be a true asset to the downtown, but also to the community. And it's in the last 2 months from what it started as, it's unbelievable really, and it's something I'm really looking forward to bring to the community.
Thank you, Jim. I'll tell a little bit. So I actually went to their facility. I actually went to probably 8 different facilities around the area within, oh man, so many miles. And I walk in and there's a gentleman, which is Nick, sweeping the floor. So I'm like, oh, okay, you know, it's the owner around. He's like, oh, in the back. I'm like, okay. So I go to the back and the guy in the back says, he's in the front. I'm like, oh. So I'm getting the runaround, like and I'm actually in a suit tie, which I don't wear a lot. So he probably thought I was the IRS or something, but, so I got the runaround for a little while, but, you know, meeting these two individuals, you know, when putting a post on social media and asking, hey, what do people want to see, it was the butcher shop. I mean, 80% of the people wanted a butcher shop, and I'm excited to bring these two in and really bring the opportunity to McHenry, but the quality of meat, the facility, I mean, is going to look amazing, and you know, we couldn't have done it without these two and their commitment and all the investors to really commit to doing this and you know, bring another opportunity to the city. So.
If pertaining to the liquor license, we're mainly a store. We open till 6 at night, so it's not a bar. We will do wine tastings and the wine class and club and stuff like that, because we have an area in the back. But our emphasis is on the food, and the same as the store I have now. I'm a restaurant, but I close at 9, and we're doing good. I'm only open 4 days in Cary, but the store's open every day. So anyway, it's not like the liquor is just a compliment to what we're doing. So,
thank you. Sure.
I do have a clarification. So Derek just pulled up the ordinance that you were referring to, Alderman Glad, about persons that are ineligible for a liquor license. It does list elected officials, mayor, police officers. However, there's an exception that if there's a vote of a majority of the city council, then they can hold a liquor license. So in this situation, it's merely a spouse, which again, under the state statute, she would be eligible anyway.
Okay. According to state statutes, it's eligible.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other public comment by the public? I see none. Looking for a motion for item 8C as presented. Bless you. Alderman Santee?
I will make that motion with the attachment of the list of 11 as presented.
And contingent on the
fingerprinting background checks.
Second, Alderman Schaefer.
Second.
Discussion on this item by council. Alderman Curry.
I have a question. It states in our packet that, you know, of course, with a liquor license while permitted, the business has no intention of having video gaming. Do you have video gaming in any of your other locations?
I do have 3 games at my place in the back area, but we have no intention of that here. So that's our intent, that we don't want that.
Okay, and you're pretty solid in that.
Yeah, because we were asked that when we first were putting this together. And I found that, I mean, it was like, it took us a long time. We just got it at my other store, so it's been available for a long time. We were encouraged to get it for a long time. And I have a partner that wanted it, and, you know, I mean, we did it. We're not doing it here, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman
Follow-up, is the limit in Cary, Village of Cary, same as McHenry in regards to the amount of games? He said he has 3.
Yeah, you can have 5.
You can have up to 5 at
Yeah.
Cary? Okay, thank you. I want to understand that. Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion by council? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Schaper?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Thank you, council. All right, go get to work, boys. The next item on the agenda is discussion to approve transfer of Class A-27 from Reprise Corp. DBA Nicolino's Trackside to Salerno's McHenry Incorporated, DBA Salerno's McHenry Incorporated, located at 621 Ridgeview Drive, McHenry, Illinois 60050, upon the council approval and issuance of the liquor license. You know, I met with Robert Salerno a few days ago, and what he looks to do with this property is amazing. I think it's going to be a huge asset to the city. You know, he's going to be looking to do a ton of improvements there. So I think, you know, all in all, he owns 11 other locations, so he knows what he's doing. So other than that, I'll go ahead and ask for any discussion by council. At this time, turn it over to the public. Is there any public comment regarding this item? At this time, I'm looking for a motion for item 8D as presented. Alderman Curry?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Alderwoman Condon?
They don't do that.
Up higher.
You steal my stuff all the time.
No, I do. I'm sorry.
Discussion by council? Alderman Glad?
I just want to say, I remember when Nicolino's was first concept and when it was developed. And I think it's been the same owner all these years. And all I can say is sorry to see a business owner leaving. But I'm happy to see somebody else is coming in.
Alderman Sanchez?
Yeah, I agree with that. I was happy to see this new business coming in, but when you know Joe's background and where he came from and how he developed that facility, and now it's transitioning, I wish him all the well. I know he's not here, but I wish him well and good luck to the new ownership out there.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik?
Yes.
Alderman Schaper?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 8E. Motion to grant a Class A liquor license requested for OBT Incorporated DBA Old Bridge Tavern at 1334 North Riverside Drive, McHenry, Illinois 60050, upon a council approval and issuance of the state liquor license. This time, I'll open up for council discussion on this item. Alderman Santee?
On the application, and I know they're not here, I don't know if anyone can answer this. Let me find it again. 23, they're talking about, I think, TBA opening date listed as January 1st.
That is correct.
That's still his plan?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Any other discussion? I'm gonna go turn to the public. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment on this item? See none, I'm looking for a motion for 8E as presented. Oh. Alderman Schaper?
I'll make that motion as presented.
Second? Alderman Condon?
I would be happy to second.
Discussion on this item? Alderman Schaper?
I mean, this makes sense for this owner in that location and that part of town. He's got plans and looking forward to it.
Agreed.
Any other discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Schaper?
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Thank you, council. At this time, see if there's any staff reports. Oh, Chief Burke.
I apologize for being late today. I had the opportunity to attend the District 156 board meeting. And at the beginning of the meeting tonight, they had the opportunity to recognize 5 staff members from District 156, along with Officer Foley and Student Resource Officer Schaefer, for their actions in September involving the life-saving efforts of a student named Tommy at the high school who had a cardiac event and ended up he stopped breathing, and Officer Foley and SRO Schaefer were able to perform CPR, which the end result was, after a very short term in recovery at the General Hospital, he made a full recovery and he returned to school on Friday. So the board wanted an opportunity to recognize those 7 people tonight. Just like that, make that as a matter of record for you.
Thank you. Any other staff reports? Awesome. Mayor and city council comments, I have nothing as well. Any city council comments? Alderman Santee?
We've gone through a couple of different items tonight in regards to, the deli people left, but working with the deli and getting them going. And also, you see a build out that's really close at the corner of Green and L. Definitely a lot of activity around the city. And then our last item was a transfer of that license for the tavern on the corner of Riverside and Pearl Street. And it's just a statement, it's not a plea. I just want to make sure, and the mayor knows where I'm coming from here. It's just that I know what's going on, and we're doing we're doing a very good job of new activity, new build outs, new people coming into town. I don't want to forget Riverside Drive and Pearl Street area, and we're not forgetting it, but I just want to make sure it's on the top of everybody's mind, because I know that nasty 7-letter word called parking comes up a lot, and we're doing our best to cover our bases in the Green Street area, which is part of my ward. But I do like to look at the city as a whole, and for many years, as I have seen it, parking is definitely something that's a concern, and I just want to make sure there's still some focus on that area of downtown McHenry and in regards to Riverside Drive and Pearl Street corridor. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other city council comments? Seeing none. At this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session. I would ask that all of the public please exit the room after this motion is made. So, thank you all for coming.
Thank you for your service and support. We appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Take care. At this time, looking for a motion to enter executive session for property acquisition. Alderman Schaefer?
I'll make that motion.
Seconded by Alderman Stewart.
I'll second the motion.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderman McHenry?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderwoman Cott?
Yes.
Thank you.